Hey, how's it going? I pulled some cards and I'm going to talk about them. Please look at my signs. There's that better? Okay. Okay. So, I keep wanting to touch my head and I can't right now because I have a hair treatment on there. The scalp treatment, actually. Anyway, so I pulled some cards. Is that greasy? No. And just 3. One from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. The Eye of the Needle. The number 17 card. One from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and it's the Fire Ant card. Oh, please don't do that. Fire Ant has the fire element icon at the top there, so muy caliente. And I pulled a card from the Angel Number deck. And it is the, hold on a second. Ooh, don't knock that over. And it's the 999 card. Did I show the deck or did I just pull it over here? Let me just in case I'm there. This is the one. Okay. It's like that obsessive compulsive thing where you leave the house and then you're like, did I turn the stove off? And you have to go back 9 times to make sure you turned it off, to make sure it wasn't on, make sure it wasn't on. Like, yeah. Not me, but I know someone like that. So anyway, the 999 card has a subtitle there, and it is Release and Stop Glaring. There. Anyway, I guess there's no way I'm not going to get a glare on there. Okay, well, that's interesting. So I was just meditating before I came to do this, and I guess it's in perfectly in sync with what I was planning on talking about. 999 has, well, in England, it is the phone number for emergency services like 911 is here in America. And when I was out there meditating, this is so funny. I have a hard time like keeping my mind on the orange. So finally I just gave up. I mean, I was able to meditate kind of without a bunch of stuff drifting in, but stuff kept drifting in. Like in the middle of it, I heard I am Gaia, and I'm like, whoa, what? And I think I might have, by doing that, I might have like blocked out whatever was gonna come next, but I did quiet myself down and just try to like sit there. So I did get like a few little impressions, but yeah, I think like my exclamation kind of like closed the circuit or something a little bit. I don't know. I feel like I'll get more on that later. But here's the thing with this card. I'm sitting out there and for some reason I start thinking about 999, but not the number. I mean, yes, the number, but not about the British Emergency Services. There's a band. There was a band. Oh, actually, I guess they're still around. They were like, I guess they were punk rock, maybe new wave. But they were called 999, and I really liked them when I was a young punk rocker. It was one of the earliest things that you could get a hold of to listen to, because punk rock was real new. And their hit song was a song called Homicide. And I was thinking about that because one of the lines is, I almost sang it. The line is, "I believe in homicide," and I don't think it's that thought where you're all, "Oh, I want to kill that person," like literally cause them to end. I think it was more like just when you're like so frustrated and angry about something, or maybe someone where you're just all, today's a good day for homicide, but you're not going to actually go do that. It's just a release valve, which the subtitle on this card is release. I just realized that when I was saying that. So I guess things are pretty like synchronous today. Oh, I guess I'll go ahead and read the paragraph that's on here. Your current circumstances are ending, so you might take advantage of better ones. If you are experiencing a significant change or conclusion, viewing your life as a series of cycles or chapters may be helpful. How can you make room for something new to emerge? And that's where it just leaves it off. Oh, I mean, I guess the little card can't tell you how to do everything. There is that whole like fun element of figuring it out yourself. Speaking of which, I have been awaiting a delivery at my delivery site, which is not here. And the thing finally came, and there was no one home, and it needed a signature, which is not usually the case. Had I known that, I would have had him just bring it here, because the reason why I don't get deliveries here is because people just steal them off the porch because the drivers just put them down and run away. They do not knock. It's like they don't have time to do any of that stuff. So they just, if you're lucky and your package is not fragile, they'll huck it at your door and you'll hear it hit the door, which, you know, like I said, if your package is not fragile, that's fine, but that might not always be the case. And even if it's not fragile, don't handle my stuff like that, you savage. I understand your job is frustrating, but dude, get another job. It's not just you. You're sorry, rant. None of that did not happen today. Anyway, there was no one there to sign for the delivery, and I got an email this morning about it, and it told me no one was home, so there was no point in contacting the people. I know why they were not there. And so I was like, okay, I have 24 hours according to this. I'm just going to deal with it when I get up. And I didn't get up immediately, even though I wanted to. It was because my cat was in my wheelchair. And I didn't want to wake him up because we haven't really been spending that much time together. Since it warmed up, he doesn't need to sleep on me anymore. So I was happy that he was next to me and I could hang out with him. And it was just a situation where we were just hanging out. I wasn't having to like go feed him or do any chore like that, which I know it's not really a chore. I'm just saying. Neither of us wanted to get up really, and I just wanted to, if he wanted to hang out, I wanted to just hang out. And so we just ended up sleeping all day. But, you know, I figured, okay, I got 24 hours to deal with this package thing. Looks pretty straightforward, shouldn't have a problem. And I figured that was the way to go because I have been having technical issues and issues with PIN numbers and trying to make sense of my situation to a bot, which just does not have the capacity. They'll put it on there and they'll be like, yeah, I'm here, support, and it's like a bot. And the thing, I tried to have it schedule the redelivery because if I schedule it, then it's going to be here at a time when I know to be here and on the alert for a package to come. But no, it was not like that, and you got to deal with a bot. Like if you call a number, there's no human person. Although it's Sunday, that might be why. And by the time I got up, it was like eight, almost 8 o'clock in the evening. So I wasn't sure which pickup place it was at because I don't live in the town where it was delivered, and obviously I couldn't call because when I did call, I got a bot. So there's a location right down the street from me which it offered me, go to this place, call this place. Well, I couldn't call them either because you just can't get a human on the phone anymore. But that's not where it would have been delivered. So because I've been having all these issues lately, I mean, it's been like a year really that this kind of thing has just been ramping up, like the security. Sometimes I just get like panic that I'm not going to be able to get into my own accounts because the security is like so multi-layered. It's like I got my own security on my computer, and then to like open an app or do anything, my God, you gotta have the PIN and you gotta make an. It's like I don't like it. It drives me crazy. I'm sure I'm not alone. Who can remember a PIN when you got 40,000 of them? Not supposed to write them down anywhere, so I have to change them all the time, and I will write it down on something, and then that'll disappear immediately. If you have this life also, and that's not it. That's just like one little consideration of having a digital freaking life. I don't like it. But anyway, I finally realized that I was just so mellow all day. Like I just didn't want to go there, even though I just kind of went there a little bit. But I'm not talking about just explaining a frustrating situation to you. I'm talking about being in the situation and getting frustrated, which for me about the stuff, it can get really elevated, and I just didn't want to do it. So I didn't. And I know that if you have a situation that you can see is going to frustrate you, I know it's better to keep a cool head. So I'm not always successful with acting on what I know, but today I was. And so I guess I tried a few different times to go on the internet and deal with this, and it just kept hurting me into boxes where my problem just couldn't be addressed with the options that they gave me, which is, that's why it's frustrating. But you know, it goes on from there because they'll try to help you and send you down all these blind alleys where you just end up back at the same bot usually. Nothing changed, but you try, you know, because you figure like, dang it, it's here for a reason, it must work, right? So I tried it 3 times and I was like, okay, I don't know which of the options for this not working it is. It doesn't really matter. It is Sunday. Why am I even trying? So once I said that and was kind of like, I'm done with trying to even deal with this today, for some reason I landed on that email again, and part of it was like a multi-page email, and one of the pages was a picture of the package. So one of the problems that I was having was that the email gave me 2 numbers to use and neither of them worked. And then after I was like, I'm done, and found this picture, I looked at the box and there was a completely other number on the box that's not in the email. I was just like, this must be the number. But you know what? I said, I'm done. But when I saw the number and I realized that the places in the town where my package was delivered were the same name as the place here in town, when it thought this was the delivery address, because I tried to reroute it here, reroute it here, and they're the same company name. So I realized, oh my God, all I have to do is go down to this place, show them this picture, and go, please tell me how I can get to my package, if you wouldn't mind. So that's what I'm going to do. And uh, I'm sharing all of that because, well, for one thing, it's way more upbeat than what I have been talking about. But also that, I mean, yeah, I needed a break from that too. But also, like, everything is kind of squeezing and coming down on. I'm just going to talk about myself, but I don't think it's only something I'm dealing with. Like, and I don't think it's just a United States thing. I think it's an everywhere thing. The energy on this planet between like the violence in like war-torn places and the brewing violence, just the energies there that are just swirling around, or I don't know, on the bottom, on the ground, because they're low. They're low and they feel bad, you know. And then if that happens, it goes on for long enough, then, you know, more violence blisters up out of it because it's like a pussy situation. And I had seen this astrologer, this new astrologer, new to me, on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I kind of like what this guy is saying, but what I really got out of it is he was talking about Neptune, and it's, you know, he was talking about how Neptune affects like other planets in different ways, because some of us will have in our astrological charts planets, and Neptune or Mars or whatever may happen in conjunction in some way astrologically, or, you know, astronomically they'll do something to planets, but astrologically what those planets do, it's not that they're going to do something to us, but they'll give us a way to look at the effects of those two planets doing what they're doing. I'm not explaining that well. But shoot, you know how to look stuff up. So anyway, he was talking about Neptune in Pisces. And he said it had to do with migration. So we know there's that happening for various reasons, the war stuff. When they're able to escape the area of violence. And also it has to do with social media, Neptune, and how like it affects people online and it influences you mainly. Like, he was talking about groups posting things that they know are going to affect like a certain number of people are going to be susceptible to what they're pushing, basically, or selling or presenting or whatever it is. So it was kind of about like sort of the nefarious sides of online social media stuff, you know, with Neptune. And also it has to do with misinformation, fake news, AI content, but also at the same time, maybe as a result of all of this stuff, because that's, you know, that stuff causes problems. New rules will be made, like laws, I guess they mean, and new legislation. So I was just taking notes as he was talking. Rules, I think, has to do with us deciding, like, you know, we're just tired of this and we don't want to have it this way anymore. And dang, we take a long time to get the ball rolling on stuff sometime. But yeah, the internet needs dealt with bad, because yeah, it's just a mess. It's just well, whatever, you get it. So Saturn and Neptune proximity. What the hell does that say? something upturn. Swirn? Swim it? Oh, social media. Can't read my own shorthand. So Saturn Neptune proximity, that'll create a social media upturn. I guess that's what the new rules and new legislation was about. Okay, so but you know, all that other stuff, that fake news and that misinformation, well, we've been living through that for a long time. I guess with the introduction of Neptune, I forgot to pay attention to for how long. Pay attention to for how long that is going to be the case. Neptune, like sometimes those situations last for months or weeks, days, hours. I just forgot to pay attention. But the thing about it is, like I said, a lot of it was already happening with like the misinformation and the fake news. It's just been, and the AI, it's just been being perfected, like the functions of those things, and people are just getting a better grasp of how to use it and abuse them, I guess. So this card, it's a number 17 card, and I'm actually going to talk about the number on this one, that if you add the 7 and the 1, it makes an 8, and in numerology, let's just take a look. Since I have the luxury of having two computers here. So, let's see what 8 in numerology is. And also in tarot, the 8 card is strength. So, in numerology, the number 8 is associated with balance in the spiritual and materialistic worlds. It is also associated with power, strength, ambition, efficiency, discipline, reality, money, finances, truth, integrity, abundance, and prosperity, period. Good Lord, that is a long sentence. Saturn is the ruling planet for the number 8. People born on the 8th, 17th, or 26th are ruled by Saturn, as some people pronounce it hilariously. Some characteristics of people associated with the number 8 include ambitious, diligent, religious, good willpower, serious nature, determination, and slow moving. There's some other things, but this caught my eye. 2024 is an 8 year, since the digits of 2024 add up to 8. 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. In numerology, some meanings of 2024 include justice, leadership, balance, karma, resurrection, endings and beginnings, hope and infinity. Interesting pile of words, that. But yes, among other things, strength did come up, and we, I think, are going to need that because of the things that I have been talking about prior to this video, and just the politics situation. And I feel like in this country, like, the fake news has worked really well to a degree on a number of sort of subsections of society, but eventually the sections have to stop being sub and become part of whole. And you know, maybe that's a transition we're going through. But the point is like, there's been a lot of heavy energy. You know, I needed a break. But I pull this, and there is the religious connotation to this, which is not what I'm going for here. What I'm going for is that I was feeling squished, you know? And almost like it would have been a hardship like it would be to stuff myself through the eye of a needle, but to get to the other side. And I say hardship because I mean, like, the metaphoric needle, I'm getting through it, because you can only take so much pressure. You can only take so much being squished. And intentionality is the subtitle on here. So, like I just said, as a metaphor, well, in reality, I most certainly am not going to fit through the eye of a needle. And so, and I don't know why this was like the escape route. Like, okay, portal, I'm just hesitant to just use that because it just gets used for like everything anymore. And also, from what I understand, they are quite large, which is not, that does not describe the aperture there of a needle. But it is one of those sort of metaphors where getting a big thing, like a big idea, a big literal thing, through a small space can be done. Like, you can get a car inside of a house without tearing a hole in the house. You just take the car apart. So maybe what this is saying is that because of the squeezing, you have to like make yourself smaller in order to fit through this opening. But once you do, you're on the other side and it's like a whole different place. You know, once you squeeze through something like a birth canal, because all of the change is constantly being described as a form of birth and that turbulent passage. What a relief to get out of being squished through a little tube. You know, when you're an infant, your repertoire for speech and expressing yourself is limited to crying. So, and it's also your first everything. So you can't, you know, I feel like you can't base a baby's reaction on just being born the same as a person who's gone through life and knows how to break themselves down and make themselves smaller in a way that makes them be able to transform themselves. That's not the same thing. That's working with intentionality. Like, you meant to do that, you know, like you reach the point where you just can't be squished anymore and you're like, I have to figure out an alternative and then act on it. And there's your intentionality. So normally I think of this card as like running to the aid of whatever's at the, you know, hot blister looking center of this. But this I feel like is more like what's happening, where we're just so well, it's interesting. Like, a number of things are coming to mind here. There are things happening and we're all like sort of converging on the spot out of outrage or just interest, curiosity, prurient interest, actually. Like, let me make sure. Like, I just, like, a word will pop out and I'll be like, wait, does that really mean what I think it does? I don't like to look foolish. Who does? Okay, that's, gotta spell it right though. So, let's see. Oh my. Having or encouraging an excessive interest in sexual matters. Well, that was the right word, because I am talking about but what the things I was talking about in the previous videos, that it's kind of becoming more and more of a widely known concern. But it's not just one individual that's doing this thing, but it's like right now on social media, when something happens to someone and there's a bad guy, everyone is converging on the bad guy right now, and everyone is having their say. People are upset, people are triggered. So the reason why I started laughing a second ago is because there's this other person that has a channel on YouTube, and they just put out a video, and they were reacting to someone else that put out a video saying that they were offended. Now, the person that was saying they were offended looked like they were at some school board or some kind of council meeting, and they appeared to be a furry because they were wearing some kind of animal costume. And this person who was showing this other person saying, I am offended, and it was not in context whatever the person was offended. Like, that was pretty much all you got to hear them say in their little costume. And then here comes this other person saying that he doesn't care. Who cares if you're offended? You don't just get to say blah, blah, blah and expect people to care, or something like that. And I thought, that's an opinion. But aren't you doing the same thing? They have there's a certain, this guy comes from a certain background, and from that background he expresses his opinions as if it's his area of expertise, and I'm sure in some ways it is, but it's also just some dude expressing his opinion and talking about his, what he goes through in life. And so obviously I watch it if I know all that much about it. I just thought it was that was just kind of ironic, because it's like what I was saying about the social media, and that was just like social media eating its own tail. I felt like it was kind of like a useless exercise to be complaining about that particular aspect of what's wrong with social media. But that's just my opinion as just another yabo on social media. But the other things, though, people are super fired up, okay? They are hot, like fish grease. They are mad about this, and I get it, because it is like what's been revealed. The revelation is shocking. Not so shocking. I mean, I kind of expect it considering the source, actually. But the things that were perpetrated on people, they are shocking. The thing that I'm not shocked about is that it's another person that's very rich, which confers them obviously more power than they should have because so many people abuse it and abuse people with it. It's like, really? That's what you wanted to reach the pinnacle for? To pee down on people? Like, oh God. You see, and that was like a little thing that gets talked about in this. And anyway, and I get it, because no one likes to hear horrible stories about people being mistreated when they don't have to be, when the motives for doing what was done to force people to do things and to be mentally and physically in places where they do not want to be, and it's known that they don't want to be there and they are forced to. So it's like, even when they're made part of the crime, it's like, how can you blame these people when they were made to do something they didn't want to do? That's not the same as like being the getaway driver for bank robbery people. Like, you are part of the people. you're the survivor of the incident. You're not any part of the cause. And it's just like, first of all, this is like a lot of speculation that's out there, and this happens with everything. You know, we love to wonder and, you know, ponder, oh, could it be this? Could it, like, try to be little detectives about everything. And sometimes it's just not our place to know stuff, but this is different. And it's come out into the public eye because it should be addressed, and like the behavior has to stop. It's just sick. And there's too many opportunities for it to happen, because how many times does it have to happen where it's somebody rich and then somebody gets hurt that's weaker financially and socially, because we just have decided that the rich people are the ones with the power and the influence and can do whatever they want, and also like have a hand in controlling what everybody else is doing. Like I was saying in my last video, that I think there needs to be managers of a sort. But I mean, for the most part, you know, once we have our little, you know, roles to play or routines to follow, we do okay. Like, we don't need a whole lot of supervision. Not like, well, we don't have supervision now. We have full-on espionage into our lives. And they make it a part of what you do, like your daily stuff. So you're like actually having a hand in doing it to yourself, which is, thanks, gross. That's what I was just talking about. Like, people don't like that. So they're coming out of compassion. They're coming out of, they were triggered by what they're hearing because something similar happened to them or someone they know. And it's like, what? How? It's like, it's outrage. And I don't know, like everything else. I mean, it's attracting people and opinions like flies to sugar. Because here's another thing. The people that I notice right now who are in trouble are like, well, this is over for this particular guy, but there's a show still talking about it. And not that many people are aware of him or what he did or who his family was or is, because the family didn't die, he did. But Robert Durst, a New York real estate scion from a wealthy family, and he was like, he did like what was expected of a normal person for years, and then I guess his real side came out. He married this woman who was like not from a rich family, so that was, everyone had a problem with it, although they wouldn't have come right out and said it, even him, which is probably why he was the last person to see her alive. Or no, I guess he wasn't. I don't know, it's confusing. I'm not sure in the story they've worked out quite what's true about that, like who actually saw her last. But I'm thinking it was him, since the pattern seems to be he kills people or killed people. There was a guy in Texas, and in that he was pretending to be mute and in drag, so I guess pretending to be a woman, but it sounds like he fooled no one. And really only drew attention to himself. But the point, and he did more things. There's a show about it on HBO or HBO Max called, or Max, whatever. They pick a damn name, Lane. Don't touch your hair. But yeah, it's on Max or HBO, and it's called The Jinx. But that's just like money and power, and this dude just like, you, I'm just gonna eliminate my problems, including people. And then like the former president, rich, I guess, compared to most of us, but apparently not as rich as he claims all the time. And he's in trouble for stuff just like that, like defrauding everybody with information and tricks and turn on a television, turn on a YouTube, it's all over. I don't have to explain all about that. But his behavior criminally has caught up with him, and it is connecting to, like, yeah, maybe they will go back to when he was like 14. Who knows? Because stuff connects. That's what happens in investigations. It becomes part of the original scope because it pertains to the whole thing that's happening. And you'd almost think he wanted to be caught because he can't shut up. He's constantly incriminating himself and his people. And then he still goes out and does the same stupid crimes that he's already in trouble for. So it's like easy to find. Then there's the other thing with the rappers and the trafficking and the horribleness with that. Another case of somebody with a bunch of money thinking they can just do whatever they want to whoever they want because now they have money. They used to be that person that could just get walked all over, but now they got money so they can just treat people like trash, I guess. I don't understand how that works because when I grew up, like, at least this is what we all thought as kids. It seemed like me and my cousins, like, if you had rich, you were better than everybody else, better educated, but really you just have more stuff and more money. It doesn't seem like the myth, like, what was the Lori Loughlin and her husband, Massimo, whatever, I think he's a clothing designer. They did some kind of, pay to graduate place thing with USC, and I guess both of their daughters. And the daughters didn't even want to go. They're like, look it up, Lori Loughlin, college scandal, pay scandal, look it up. We got a lot of money. We want our kids to skip above everybody else that worked their butts off to get there to USC. And, oh, God, it's just like, I guess that's some Saturnian, Neptunian stuff happening in the world. But what it seems like the overall tone of all of those people I mentioned is like, man, you like want to get caught or something. It just is. It was not good enough to just go along and be the criminal. And although for them it ain't great, for the rest of us who would like to see justice, it's awesome. People don't like that. Like, I don't know. It's I just feel like it's kind of a letdown because we do think that the rich people are better and deserve more because they're rich in this country, and boy, we've been finding out that we're so wrong. Like, we have to recalibrate our idea of better and find something better to, like, aspire to. Because it sounds like the more money people get, the crappier they become. Just my opinion, as in opinion commentary. Anyway, it's not funny though. Like, it does seem like all three of those people I mentioned, if you're not familiar with their story or the background, and you want to know what the F am I talking about, look them up. It's not hard. Robert Durst in the news right now. No relation to Fred Durst. Fred Durst will tell you all day and all night. No relation. But the name is familiar, so Robert Durst. You can remember Durst. Fully in the news. Trump, fully in the news. Diddy and all of that stuff, fully in the news. Not hard to find out about. The trend, I got a bunch of money. I got power. I'm going to treat people below me like dirt. And it's all coming out, and funnily enough, it's the guy in the middle, Trump, who was going to drain the swamp. And I have said many times, yeah, he did drain the swamp. I'll agree with all the MAGA on that. He just never imagined he'd still be stuck right in the middle of it, bottom feeding with the rest of them like a giant bottom feeder. Thank you for your service. And thank you and good night.